All right, here we go. Welcome. I'm Curtis Michelson, and this is Gary Price, and you are in, we hope, Open Web Tools? Yeah? Okay. Very good. Well, this is a reprise, I guess, of something we did last year for the first time. And it's tools on the open web. It's essentially, and lots for discovery, and you'll see a lot of other interesting tools that we think librarians, and not just librarians, but journalists and general public will find very useful.
Teachers, especially, where funding is often, not often, is always a problem. I think just about everything that we've shared today is free to the end user.
Yes. And something we're sharing free to you guys is, you want to click through to the, yeah. So all these resources, we're not going to show all of these, there's not enough time. In fact, my role mainly is timekeeper for Gary, because he's going to be... This is the info docket. If you don't know Gary Price, I'll let him introduce himself in a minute, but...
First yourself.
Okay. So I'm kind of an oddball here maybe at this conference. I generally work with corporations on innovation. Every now and then I get to work in higher ed or with an academy or library or something or society, and it's a lot of fun. So I like to hang out with you nerds occasionally, but a lot of times I'm just leading innovation workshops, and in fact, this pre-conf this week we did one called Hacking Your Library. I don't know if you saw that. How to hack your library. I have some extra t-shirts, by the way. It says Hack Your Library, and by the way, our sponsor, t-shirt sponsor right here, Tim Lloyd from LibLinks. Thank you, Tim, once again. So we do have some extra t-shirts if any of you librarians want to carry that with you. So that's me and Gary.
My name is Gary Price. I'm a librarian based outside of Washington, D.C., on the Maryland side. Even though Washington, D.C., the state of Maryland and the state of Virginia all come together. It's, for those of you who aren't from that area, it's three separate worlds. People sometimes meet in D.C., but Maryland and Virginia are... You know, I moved away a few years ago, and we moved from Virginia to Maryland, and people said, we'll never see you again, and that's pretty much the case. When I'm not doing conference speaking and consulting, I work with ARL, for example. That's one of my clients. I am putting together Info Docket, which I encourage all of you to stop by. It's a daily update. It's just about 7 days a week, much to my wife and son's chagrin. A variety of things, everything from, the elections that took place, how our public libraries fared, to new digitization projects, to Elsevier and leaked documents, to new updated databases, the tuition tracker, that kind of thing. The new statistics portal. So I'm trying to become like a clearinghouse. The other thing I should mention, and I'm real proud of, is I do what I often refer to as open web collection development. And every day I try to find a few different reports that have from credible organizations, just like we've always done with books and magazines and journals. But I'm trying to find government reports, things from think tanks, and then add them to this collection. So, and we'll get to this at the very end, everything I post on InfoDocket, whether it be a link to a press release, a link to an article from the New York Times, or a report from NOAA or from Zumper, they do real estate work. Everything I post is archived by me for everyone else, for the community, in the Wayback Machine. I'm a big believer, and you heard Brewster talk about this yesterday, the Wayback Machine is our best effort to this point to archive the open web, and I try to practice what I preach by, with one click, archiving all these documents as I find them. And I'll show you how to do that as we go along today.
All right, I think we're ready to roll. So on the PDF, there's 38 resources. We've got time, we think, if I stay to our clock, top 10. So our selection this year for some of the new resources we've pulled from relate to some privacy, some issues in the news, deep fakes. We've even added a section on papers. There's 2 papers that are interesting that you might want to pull. We're going to cover a little OER, some AR, VR, accessibility, legal research. So with that, why don't we pull up our first one?
Here we go.
Semantic Scholar.
How many of you have not heard of Google Scholar? Okay, good, I know the answer to that. But how many of you have looked at any of the other open web academic search tools? In my opinion, there are two wonderful tools. This one, which I'll get to in a moment. Another one, which we're not going to get to today, is the Microsoft effort in this. It used to be a bunch of junk, and I think, it's hard to get rid of old ideas, but academic.microsoft.com really is a first-class tool. Have any of you used Semantic Scholar? One of the issues we worry about in our world is sustainability. This is a project that's funded by a man who has had a lot of money. This is a project out of the Paul Allen Artificial Intelligence Institute in Seattle. So the sustainability is there. A big thing that has changed as recently as about, 2 weeks ago, is that when this project started about 4 years ago, they were just focusing on two disciplines, neuroscience and computer science. As of about 2 weeks ago, they officially announced that they are now covering all areas, all disciplines.
And our first search we're going to run is library sites.
Right, so
Right.
178 million citations. In some cases, there are also, there's open access material in here and paywall material. The thing that makes this so great is, one, the overall look of the sites, ease of use. You can type in disciplines, you can type in specific resources, you can narrow and focus your timeline using just this lever here. You can find related topics. If you log in with an account, you can start monitoring. So if you have a search set up, you get that. If some of the materials in there, they call out slides, presentation, conference slides, they call those out. Then you start getting into the actual articles where you get citations by velocity, by year, influential citations, the ability to save to your material, the ability to just download the site and plug it in somewhere else. Everything too has more information available. So for example, if I go to, let's see if I can find one here, towards mapping, library, and information science, all the authors' names are hyperlinked. So for example, if I go to this gentleman's name, I can find everything in this database by this author. If I hear back to this article, I get this, the abstract here. Again, this is all autonomously done. I get, again, the number of citations to this paper from others. They also have a methodology for ranking influential material.
There's some nice filters too.
They also show you all the citations. Let me go back to, let's go to a specific article here. Is the ability to, they move this as a matter of fact, but the ability to narrow and focus your search, the ability to find only literature searches, there's buttons that will pop up then, the ability to limit to a bunch of different resources.
Ones that only have PDFs or
right.
has a PDF.
Right. So again, artificial intelligence calling out specific autonomously done articles. Let's see if I can search for another person.
I think Lorcan Dempsey was.
Yeah, that was the other one.
Yeah.
So Lorcan. So again, this, Lorcan has 39 influential citations. Again, here are the filters. So again, if you're working with an end user, there's no syntax to put in. There's nothing to just click, and now I've limited the search to the last 5 years. Only articles in their collection that have PDFs available right now, I limit just to PDFs. And look at all these other filters available if they are, related authors, where was it published, all of this is available by just pointing and clicking, and then of course sorting.
And you haven't even logged in yet. This is
Right.
just the free service.
Well, no, this is all free.
Right, but there is, what do you get if you log in?
If you log in, then you can start saving things, you can start getting the alerts, which are very useful. So, while everybody knows Google Scholar, I encourage you and your colleagues to take a look at some of these open access, open web academic search products, which really have become first rate. This one and Microsoft Academic.
Perfect, all right.
How are we doing on time?
Perfect, all right, so, and if you have questions, just write them down if you would. We'll try to have a little time at the end for some Q&A. All right, next one up. From the beautiful land of Slovenia, a service we discovered this year. It's called Event Registry.
And because I'm trying to show it to you, there we go, it's slow. This, in my 20 years of doing this and the 15, 16 years of open web news search tools, this by far, I have to log in here, is the most powerful one available. This, let me log in here. I have to, excuse me about that. Let's see here.
And it's called Event Registry because I think it started as a university project with some PhDs in semantic technology in Slovenia. And they were looking at all these signals out there in the news, scanning all these news services, and then they would say, there's a pattern here, there's an event forming. And there was this global heat map of events that was changing. And then it just ballooned from there, and it's really, really mature as a tool.
I see sources in here I don't see elsewhere. So what was the practice search we
Charleston, South Carolina.
Okay, so again, there's different methods of searching, again, depending on your ability. The simple search mode, they give you examples, news about. The exact search mode where you can start bringing in Boolean and all that, and then there's searching by concepts. So again, it's for different user groups. Let me go back here. Let's search on Charleston, South Carolina. We should see, there we go, Charleston, South Carolina. Sorry about that.
Notice a lot of these services are semantic by the very beginning, by their very nature. They're not keyword, they're all concept-based searching.
So again, the ability to filter, to limit, I mean, you see things here you don't see elsewhere, and for expert searchers like us, there's a lot of things you can do here, and also then go on and teach others. You can limit your searches to specific locations, to specific sources. You can limit your news search just to specific sources, create a list of them. Ranking, limit your news sources by Alexa ranking. Limit to specific authors if that metadata is available. Limit to categories that will drop down. Limit to the free version here, you get 1 month's worth of news, then you can subscribe for more. Limit by language, you can even limit, you can turn off duplicates, turn that on or off by specific events. Limit to either news sources or blogs or PR. Sentiment analysis is done in here. How much the article is shared or not shared on social media. All those filters are available here. You can even then limit, you can even look at, so I searched Charleston, South Carolina. Now I can see in one place all the sources where those articles are coming from. You can create a timeline of articles. So again, the list of articles, limit by language, article authors, it's all here. And again, this is all open and free.
So the other search we would run is, I think Qantas is experimenting with the longest flight ever, like from New Jersey all the way over to New Zealand. So that's been in the news, right? So yeah. This interesting reason, what will humans be like if after, well, they kill each other over a 20-hour flight. So this has been in the news, so if I think you type longest flight
this is what they call an event. An event are where like articles are using AI are grouped together. Flight world, see if they come up with it here. There it is. So you get an idea. This one has 4 articles in it. It gives you what their AI has pulled out are the subjects. You can start clicking on all of those. Here it is. So here's the world's first 20-hour nonstop flight. There are 83 articles in this one. You can get all the subjects and descriptors that have been pulled out by the technology. I can click here now and then see all the articles grouped together with subject categories. Another nice feature, well actually here, let's go to the reporting timeline.
Right. Yeah.
Let's see, so, and now I can actually see how the story was covered in the news by time.
And if you hover over
If I hover one, I get the actual headline, and if I click on it without having to click off of the page, I get the actual article.
It's pretty amazing. The UI alone is just
The UI alone is, yes.
Slovenians, they're smart. Okay, I think we need to
Let's move on.
move on. All right, next up from JSTOR Labs, something really neat they came out with called the Interview Archive. It's a new prototype. They're always prototyping, these labs folks. That's Alex Humphreys and his teams over there.
So I'm a big believer, and I hope some of you agree with me, that we're not making the best use of video material as a research tool. There's millions and millions of hours of the material available, but for most people, it's very difficult to find, let alone go to a specific place in the video where what you're interested in is spoken. An example that does it very well is the C-SPAN video library, which has a free version of everything that has ever aired on C-SPAN, transcript searchable.
That's on our PDF, by the way.
This is another example. This is something that launched in the past year called Interview Archive. And what they did is they were able to get their hands on a documentary about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
In fact, it was a partnership with a filmmaker, Cunard Films.
And now it's been broken down into different segments. So for one, you can watch the whole film. Two, you can browse by topics that they've put together. So I can look at the different topics here, for example, and then I can go, so lunch counter, I can actually go to where those words are spoken in the video using the transcript. I get additional information from Wikipedia.
So he said, yeah.
They've built in links to find articles and chapters from JSTOR. So that's one way to look at the video. Going directly to the video, in this case, like most video, it's housed on YouTube, but this allows you to actually search specific words, first search by topics, and then go to find where those topics are discussed in the video.
And what was special in this case, here's a documentary film about King, Martin Luther King, and there's all kinds of extra footage that doesn't make a doc film, right?
Right.
Lots and lots, hours and hours. So what they did was they grabbed all of those extra interviews with these people, full length, and then that's what you have there is all those full length interviews, took the transcripts of those, ran some of JSTOR's semantic text and entity extraction on that, so that they can pull out entities like Stokely Carmichael or Southern Christian Leadership Conference. That's how they made their topic graph, from the transcripts of all of these videos. Now you can browse it, and when you click Stokely Carmichael, you go right to the interview with Marion Nash where she talks about working with Stokely Carmichael. So it's just one interesting prototype of how could you add value, extract more value out of one documentary film, you know, and that's just a prototype from JSTOR Labs. It's amazing.
So again, search by topics that they've created, or if you're just interested in watching the interview from one specific person and browsing that, you can do it this way as well. So it's one effort in the past year from a company that we all know, an organization that we all know, JSTOR, trying to make better use of open web video. And I think this is a really impressive first attempt to do that. And there's a lot more that needs to be done because, you know, I was working on a project for a client over the last couple of years. Just the amount of material that's out there that, you know, that 5-10 years ago was not out there. The example I often use is, it used to be that if you wanted to watch a discussion with 9 of the 12 living Supreme Court justices, or however many, I got too many there, you would have to be at the Harvard Law School at 2:30 on Tuesday, whatever. Now, not only can you watch it live, but you can watch it recorded, and that is valuable research material, stuff that was almost impossible to get to. Now you can watch it, but the challenge is knowing, one, that it might be streamed live, and knowing that this is available. And while most of it sits on YouTube, it's still very difficult for most people to get to it.
All right. And next up on the top 10 list, number 4, Retraction Watch.
I wanted to point out this one. Have any of you seen this project? Let me open it up here. As Curtis noticed this morning, it's not the most glorious database interface. But what this project is doing, it's very important work, and I'm showing this not because of the interface, but because of what they're doing. One, they are aggregating retractions from all of the major journal publishers. They just passed 20,000, and this is a single location-defined retraction. But why I wanted to mention it and mention it this year is that in the past year, they've started beta testing something with a research management tool that I'm sure some of you know of called Zotero. So now, if you have the version of Zotero where they're beta testing it and the plugin, let's say you're a PhD student and you've got 25,000 citations in your Zotero folders. If this is working and the metadata matches, and that's one of the challenges is to getting the match, that's why it's beta. Well, let's assume that all happens. Right inside of your Zotero installation, it will notify you that there's a new retracted paper in your personal library. Does that make sense? So it's taking this database and putting it where it can be most useful for people in a proactive manner by putting those retraction notices right in your Zotero folder of whatever you're calling it. So it's taking one data set and merging it up with in this case, your own personal data set.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
I'm moving right along.
Number 5, we're looking at some chatbots.
Right.
The rise of the bots.
Yes, I think there's a huge opportunity for information professionals to be not only using them, but perhaps more importantly, programming them. One example is this from the World Bank. Another example, which we're not going to show, is there is a chatbot, but it's platform specific. This one is baked right into the website, so you can start chatting with it no matter what you're doing. The Law Library of Congress has a chatbot where you can ask basic reference questions, directional questions. The issue with the Law Library of Congress chatbot is that it is platform specific. You have to use, what platform is it specific to? Facebook. So to ask the Law Library of Congress a chat question, an automated chat question, you have to use Facebook Messenger. But I think there's a huge opportunity for librarians to be creating and updating the data sets that actually power them, and actually presupposing questions that can have the answers set built right in.
So we're going to use China and trade.
So this is just what it is, and you know, I don't have to ask somebody. And I think one of the things that I've learned over the years, because so many people get into library in our world because they've been library research geeks their entire life, is to remind ourselves that everybody doesn't think the way that we do and will pursue information like we will. So in this case, you can just use natural language and you get an answer back. And in this case, from an authoritative source. So we said China trade?
Yeah, China trade.
Okay. And again, and now we get direct, now instead of just saying this is the China page and this is the trade page, this will take you directly to the data for China inside of this database. So again, it's saving people time, and it's at least getting them to a potentially useful part of this massive database. Does that make sense to everybody?
So is it just doing a whole bunch of queries that I could have spent 10 minutes?
Right, or just even, you're right, and it's also being able to interpret your language, because many people might not even type in China trade. They'll, you know, the example, you know, you're interested in golden retriever rescue organizations in Northern Virginia, and you type in dogs. So again, it's built to handle that. But again, the role for information professionals is to be creating these, managing these, presupposing questions, and finding authoritative, credible data to back them up. Okay.
Perfect.
All
All
right.
right.
Okay.
Now we have something new and completely different. It's Windy.
Oh,
Windy.com.
I didn't add that one, but I can do that one here.
Has anyone heard of the Windy.com service?
This is
Maybe we should just pause and let them just gaze at the beauty of this.
This is taking massive amounts of data from meteorological organizations and science organizations around the world and putting it all together in one place. This is a completely free resource. It is a crowd-funded project.
I think also from Europe, and I don't remember where.
They're based in Europe, but again, the data comes from NOAA, comes from the European meteorology people, comes from Japan, all over the world. The amount of data that's in here, so you know, once somebody came up to me last year and said, you know, it'd be great if you would have included 1 or 2 science resources in your list. So we're doing that now. I also happen to be a bit of a weather geek. But it's not just weather. Let me open this up. And again, you can use it. Oh, and there's a mobile version of this, which is the primary way I interface with this database. But it's your basic weather information, and then you can start putting on all sorts of different layers. You know, the weather, the satellite, and then we can go here.
Air quality is amazing when
Yeah, I mean,
turn on the...
Right,
So you want to know how much sulfur dioxide is, or nitrous oxide near you, and which way the wind's blowing, it'll show you. And during the recent California fires, that was relevant information for a lot of people.
So there's all of this, and again, as you saw when I first opened it up, you might have noticed that they just added some new satellite imagery. But a lot of...
What's that like?
What's that?
If you compare this to AccuWeather, or what's the other service that AccuWeather?
Weather.com.
Okay, go to those sites. What's the first thing you see on those sites?
Ads.
Ads, right? And lots of mayhem. Look at this terrible weather, right? It's just like none of that. This is just a beautiful...
So here's the ozone layer mapped. Here is, you know, sea temperature. All of this is here. No ads. As I said, it's a crowd-funded project. The aerosol layer. You know, the ozone layer, CO2 concentrations. So this is both for the weather geek, but also for the person who's studying climate change, environment. It's all in one place for you here, and
it seems to be getting adopted, because I did a quick search today, and the Hindustan Times in India was saying, as Windy.com predicted, and like it's getting referenced everywhere. A lot of people are starting to pick it up.
So there are global sea currents, that kind of thing. So, and I'm starting to see this mentioned more and more places as a place to easily find CO2 information, or to find and map. So this is a great resource for science.
It's just so timely too, because what are we talking about? Climate change, right? This is going to be the kind of apps people are, can I breathe today? All right, next one. Open Syllabus.
Have any of you seen this one? This launched version 2.0 sometime in July. as of now, they've got over 6 million syllabi aggregated into this one database from all over the world. You cannot, to the best of my knowledge, you cannot actually go down and find Professor so-and-so syllabi from UCSD, but you can do metrics and you can get analytics on 6 million syllabi. So everything from of those 6 million, what are the most popular titles and how many times do they appear in the different syllabi? So number one, and then you can search titles by title that way. So you can see it's in 11,000, it's on 11,472 syllabi. You can limit by date of the date range of the classes taught, limit to where the syllabi are located, that type of thing. Limit by author, limit by school. So it's a great way. This is, again, interesting information, and until a project like this came along, was really impossible to find, especially at this level. Yes?
Where do they get the syllabi?
They're crawling them from the open web, and I think, so if I'm a student or I'm a professor, they have crawlers going out looking for them, and then people are also submitting them.
It actually launched like a year or two ago, right?
Right.
And the first version was pretty rough because they were just scraping and all kinds of mistakes. But now universities and others are contributing because there's to this effort. So they're actually getting better data than just.
There is a link that's not opening here, but you can also share. Why?
I'm just curious because I know of experience of somebody who their syllabi, without their permission, ended up in a course pack sample of expensive textbook as like, and he approached them and they were like, oh, sorry, like, and if you're one person, what are you going to do? And so I'm just curious if people are consenting their syllabi.
I think that's a bigger question, though, and I think it's an important question of what is private, what is open if you post it to a public website, and how can you defend yourself against getting that material crawled if you don't want to crawl? And it's becoming. My comment is that if you click publish on a public website, it's gone.
Yeah.
There's no way you can ever get it back, knowingly get it back.
Right.
Because it's very likely Wayback Machine has crawled it or somebody else has crawled it.
Can you follow through kind of all the way, I think, to getting to a resource? I think it connects to Open Library also.
Right, so we'll go like to, a book that I couldn't understand. See if I can find, there's no good example of that. Here's a textbook, maybe that's what I see. But in some cases, they have direct links to open that book, either in the Open Library, which Bruce talked about yesterday, or to go into Amazon and buy the resource.
Right.
No, it's not showing up today, but it did yesterday. Of course, that's the nature of a public presentation, that it doesn't work the way you said.
Okay, we're going to move over into the legislative arena.
Yeah. This is stuff that, as you can imagine, you might guess, I've been a reference geek my entire life. And it used to be getting this type of material was impossible, and then who you knew, and then if you wanted to play phone tag and all of that. Let alone in this country. Now it's global. What I'm talking about are resources from the Congressional Research Service. I think it was last September that the CRS, the official CRS web portal launched, and this is what it looks like. Have any of you ever used a CRS report? This is a premier research organization researching just about every topic under the sun, anything of interest to any member of Congress. They are constantly updated. So not only are they producing new reports, but they are updating previously written reports with new data. You can tell here if it's a new report or a revised version by the little clock icon. So if it's a clock icon, you can click on that, and you can find that this was first published on October 2nd, and by November 6th, they've already revised it, probably with some new data, some updated data. Now, other reports go back many years, and I'll show you another place to find those. But what you can find in these reports is of the highest quality. They're often, the bibliographies are linked if the material is available on the open web, and you're really getting high quality research. It took many years to approve the legislation in this country to make these officially available. They've been available through back channels and often people getting access to them and then reselling them. Now they're available at no charge in a single location. The other point that I want to make is that if this version of the CRS reports doesn't work, and they are updated the same day, this is the official site. If not that version, let me add this here, there is every CRS report. This is a free site where they have been aggregating them prior to the official launch. The other nice thing about this site is that you can browse by topic. So let me give you an idea here. Education policy, for example. Here's one that was updated last October. What's nice about this is, one, you can get it in multiple formats. You can get it as an EPUB, you can get it as a PDF, you can get it as just an HTML web page. You can then see their archive versions, and it will show you how much of the archive version has changed since the previous version, and then highlight those changes.
And our PDF is linked to this, right? To
Yes.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to mention is that it's just not the US. Prior to the US making them officially available, other countries have done the same. This country, the UK, has made them available for a long time. This one, they will also send you a daily email of all of their new reports. And again, very similar to the US, professional researchers, or very often subject-specific researchers, topic-specific, are researching all sorts of things. In this case, if you're interested in any Brexit issue, this is the place to go. And again, these reports have a lot of embedded links in them that you can actually then go out and get the document that they're citing.
We have 4 minutes left.
Are you kidding?
For both, the remaining two, so we gotta jump.
Okay.
All right, so anyone use streaming video? Netflix users out there, Hulu, okay. Wouldn't you like to know where this one show you've always liked, it might be appearing across all these streaming services? Well, we got two that that are in the PDF, but this one he's gonna show in 1 minute.
This
is Yidio.
This is just This is Yidio, and it allows you to create your own personalized catalog of all the streaming services you subscribe to. And then from the app or from the website, I'm not going to go through the whole process, you can actually then look. So this show is on Amazon Prime. One click from here and it will open up the video and you can start watching it. They've got probably 70 different services, even cable companies, if they have on-demand video. Also things like Apple, so if you want to purchase it, it's your own personal aggregated catalog.
Perfect. All right, we saved what maybe is one of the best for last, and related to the Internet Archive.
Yes. I'm a huge supporter. I think Brewster is a real hero of mine, and I think, as somebody said yesterday, I think it was Lorcan said yesterday, that his work is not only appreciated now, will be even more appreciated in the future. As I said earlier, I think everybody should be doing their own personal web archiving for not only themselves, but for the community as a whole. It's not that we often hear that the data set was removed or the PDF report was removed, but it's also very easy to change a web document. You can remove a piece of information just as easily as you can publish it. So that's why even if it's archived one time, it needs to be re-archived on a regular basis. This tool that officially, it's been around for a while, but officially launched about 2 weeks ago, allows you to do it for free. What also it allows you to do is now not only save all of the links, not only save that one page, CNN.com for example, but then with one click allows you to save all the outbound links embedded in that page. So now you've got the full page archived with one click. Hello? I thought I turned that off. It's just a telemarketer. What else is new? You see my day. So I'll go to CNN.com, I'll click Save Out Links. Now another feature that they just added is you can take an actual static screenshot of the page, and now it will go to CNN.com. If you have a web Internet Archive account, you can save all of your saved pages in your own personal web archive. It will download all the elements of the page, and now it will go out, find all the links outbound from www.cnn.com and archive them for the first time or re-archive them again. So now you've got a complete set of what was on cnn.com at 11:19 Eastern Time. And because I'm trying to show it to you, it's very slow, but you can trust me, it works. There's another feature that I'd be happy to set. Here we go. So now with one click, it's going out and archiving or re-archiving all of these URLs. So now that you know, if you ever need to go back not only that page is saved at 11:19, but all the outbound links were saved at the exact same time. They have another private beta. If anybody wants to email me, I will help get you hooked up with it. But it allows you to set up a Google Sheet. You can put all the URLs you want to save or archive or re-archive on a Google Sheet. Click once, the crawler will go out and re-archive all of them over the course of maybe 15, 20 minutes, depending. So the other thing that they've done, they want to create a contest where it will not only tell you if it's re-archived, like this one, but will tell you with this little badge here that all of these, this is the first time this particular URL has been archived. So they try to gamify it a little bit. And
we're at time.
All right.
That's all, folks. Any questions?
I'm hoping that, as I said earlier, I'm hoping that you're leaving knowing, and we'll explore some of these on your own.
Put the bit.ly link back up.
I will put the bit.ly link back up.
So that PDF, clickable, you can go to more of these, explore them on your own. What'd you think? Was this helpful?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really helpful.
Thanks, good.
I'm always posting new things like this on Info Docket, so thank you again, Curtis and I.
Yeah,
Thank you.
good.
You know what you could do is a web page that this is hosted on that's just updated all the time. It would still be valuable to talk through them once a year,
Yeah.
but to have a page that
Yeah, could you like put a
Send
page on your
anyone
info
to-
docket that's?
Yeah.
nice?
We could do that.
Because
We could just update, we could just
then
up.
it's easy for us to refer other people to it.
Absolutely, so
And
what
it's
we'll do,
awesome.
this is hosted on Info Docket, we'll keep the URL live, and as we find new things that are deserving of mention here, we will add it to the handout for
We
today.
might
Thank
even
you.
do a podcast. We're talking about that.
That would be great. Well,
I think
and
that would be good.
Could you
Okay.
add?
Maybe you'd like to sponsor it.
Nice.
Sorry, go ahead.
Could you add how to set up the Google Sheet?
In that case, if you're interested in the Google Sheet project,
Yeah.
my email is gprice@gmail. Send me an email and I will put you directly in touch with Mark Graham, the person who is in charge of the Wayback Machine at the Internet Archive.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.